local people, important issues. CBS 10 WILM's weekly focus on the Lower Cape Fear region. This is Byline Wilmington with your host, Don Ansell.
Welcome, and a very good morning to you. Well, controversy continues to swirl around the Cape Fear Public Utility Authority. Today we're talking about the public criticism, the perceptions, and what's going on with rates, salaries, spending, and other issues with our guests. Both are members of the board of the Cape Fear Public Utility Authority. Jean Renzaglia is the board chair, and Burrow Smith, who I just found out was born and raised in Wilmington, is the treasurer of the board. Thank you both for being here. We appreciate it. Today. As I said, it seems like the authority's been kind of hopscotching from one controversy to another since the time it took over the combined Wilmington City, New Hanover County water and sewer operations. What's your take on that, Gene?
Well, we're a startup organization. We're approaching 2 years since we took over. The board has actually been in place for about 3 years, and at that time, we were it. There were 11 of us. We had no general manager, CEO, or any other staff at the time, so we had to start from the beginning and pull together a whole organization with the intent of bringing two very similar yet dissimilar organizations together, the City of Wilmington personnel with the county personnel.
So merging those two operations.
Absolutely. And
was a challenge.
It always is. Every merger is that way. They have different cultures, different thought patterns of how they want to get things done.
So why do you think, Burroughs, maybe you want to tackle this, why do you think the public's been so critical of the authority from the very beginning?
I think it was a complex issue, and some people didn't really want to see it happen. And then we had a few guiding principles, and one of them was that everybody's rates had to be the same. And so...
And the county was one thing, and the city was an enterprise, and the county was...
Well, the county, it was not apples to apples. The county basically had well water. The city had the Sweeney plant, which treats it to a very high quality. The county was well water that they had, kind of grown over the years, and that was basically treated with chlorine, and it was very hard.
Do you think any of or some, all part of the criticism has been deserved?
Oh, sure. The issue with the billing.
That was a massive billing problem.
It was.
And it took over a year to
It took approximately 4 months to really correct it. The billing problem was as some people have stated, a catastrophe, and a catastrophe happens with a number of incidents, small pieces that pull together to form the final result.
It only took 4 months to right the billing problems?
We corrected the billing problem in 4 months. Then
it didn't play out in 4 months for the public.
No, because then we had to catch up on the billing cycles and recognize
that. So with the public's perception, it was more than 4 months.
Oh, yes.
As far as affecting the public, as far as affecting them.
But the correction of the billing problem, the issues, the data that we had, which was the main issue, we had that in place and corrected in about 4 months. Then we had to go through two billing cycles, and remember, a billing cycle covers 2-month period. So it took us an additional approximately 4 months beyond that to get everybody in sync in terms of the billing cycle. And so people were receiving bills within a month's time frame and say, why am I being billed again, for instance? The bill was correct, but the process was they hadn't paid a bill for the first 5-6 months of our operation. And so we had to get into that cycle, and that was the most difficult piece for people to understand what was transpiring there.
Where does the buck stop on that?
It stops with us. We were the ones that were charged with pulling it together. We have assumed all the responsibilities in conjunction with our software supplier, who was sharing some of the responsibility, in conjunction with both the city and the county, who supported us and provided additional resources.
Would you say it was poorly planned? That portion of it?
No, I don't think it was poorly planned. I think there were some pieces that were missed. The right questions were asked, the answers we received were probably incorrect. We made the decision to go forward based on what we were being told in terms of how the system was going to work, what the testing
merging
had
would be
done.
like.
Yes, And we anticipated some problems. We didn't anticipate the massive problem that we ran into.
There's been a lot of criticism. Maybe you're the treasurer of the board, maybe you want to tackle this one about the rate increases, and most recently on discontinuing the elderly and disabled customer discounts the city used to fund. Some comments on that?
I'll answer both of those. First of all, I think one of the misconceptions of our customers was that rates weren't going to go up if we hadn't been in existence. The city and the county had both started big capital projects, treatment plants, both water and sewer, and those had to be paid for. Now, back in 05, 06, and 07, when those were being planned, there was a lot of growth going on, and nobody knew at that time what we'd be facing now. And actually,
the economic downturn.
The economic downturn, right. And so since that time, our revenues have dropped. Both the city and county for the 3 years prior to us coming into existence.
Your revenue has dropped because...
Well, I was going to tell you, we charge system development charges to builders when they get a permit.
Is that like an impact fee?
It's like an impact fee. If you combine the city and the county, they were averaging close to $9 million a year of just that, impact fees. We are getting maybe $2 million.
I see.
So it's because nobody's building anything. And so we've got to make up that shortfall. We were also projected to be bringing in, part of that is, an additional $3 or $4 million a year in just, rates and people, meter usage. But, we've lost restaurants, we've lost a lot of things in the last 2 years. So all that combined has really decreased our revenue, but the debt was already running. And so we've got to make those debt payments. And coupled with that was when we issued the bond in 2008, we delayed some of the full payments because we knew we were going in a recession at that time. Even though these big projects were planned earlier, they were already in the works. And so this year and next year, that ramps up from $15 million a year in payments to $25 million a year in payments. So it's kind of like the perfect storm. We also have to keep our coverages on our debt because when you go issue a bond, and these are revenue bonds, you make promises just like you would if you were buying a house or a car with a bank, but it's a little bigger number with us, $187 million. And
that's your debt?
That's the debt payment, the total debt
right.
for that bond issue. And so we've tried to push everything back as far as it can, and now time has caught up with us. Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some of the criticism, as I mentioned, about the elderly and disabled customer discounts that the city used to fund. So stay with us. We'll talk when we come back.